Hello and welcome to Queer Abbey, the weekly chat show that is performed, recorded, and produced by yours truly. Ah! That was probably loud, sorry. Well, welcome. I almost just choked on my own spit right off the bat, so we're off to a really good start. It is the 50th episode of Queer Abbey, so can you even believe that? My neighbor can't. They were very excited by that statement. They said, well, 50 episodes deep. That means that we have almost been at Queer Abbey for a year now, which is crazy. Queer Abbey Incorporated. I have had a lot of fun, especially learning about, at least like 30 different people, 40 different people, their music, stuff that I may not have sought out otherwise. I have listened to and enjoyed and connected with, and that's been a really cool experience. And it occurred to me that in the future, I might really enjoy having this sort of journal of my little last year of college, basically, that I can listen back to in 20 years when I forget what all of this was like. So that is sort of a cool aspect of creating this podcast. And I appreciate that some people enjoy it and that like 10 of you like to watch it sometimes. So thank you for that, anybody who's tuned in. This week, we have a really fantastic musical spotlight from an artist that we have seen before on Queer Abbey called Reb and the Good News. So Reb and the Good News released a new single like 2 months ago. And it rocks. It's called Feel That. And so that will be a little bit later. We'll get into her. Lots of new music. A lot of people that I know have been getting their creative juices flowing and releasing stuff. So that's been super cool to see. And it gets me excited because I'm now, like I said, like in the habit of seeking out new music and local music. And that's been a really, really cool change in my perspective because I feel like before I was very much somebody who listened to the hits of certain artists and that's it. I didn't really do deep cuts or like look into music unless it was like happenstance. I think I would occasionally find myself going to an artist. Like one time I got super interested in Nina Simone, and so I listened to like almost all of her discography. So that would be the exception, like when I would go through and listen to an entire album and get sort of attached to it. That also happened with like some Lady Gaga, Marina and the Diamonds. There are times when I do get into the deep cuts, but for the most part, I listened to top 100 stuff and like hits, and there's really nothing wrong with that. There's music is for all sorts of purposes, and you should really listen to music that you enjoy and for all sorts of different purposes, but you should also support local art and listen to the music that your friends make because it's probably even cooler than you think it is. Just saying. So there's a lot of magic to be found just right outside your doorstep, many local shows and cool bands that you can listen to and stream. So don't be afraid to get out there and to ask people if they play instruments and to say, oh, you have a band? Can I listen to it? Or, you know what I mean? Go to someone's show because I bet that you will find some cool freaking stuff there. Reb and the Good News, I discovered because I went to a show for Mr. Vale's math class, these are both bands that I've now featured on Queer Abbey because I connected with them. And I was excited to hear their music and excited to feature it here for anybody else who wants to listen to it. And I was very enchanted by Reb and the Good News. So let me save the rest of that spiel for later. Otherwise, for me personally right now, my head is spinning a little bit with finishing school and trying to stay on track with like my senioritis and like doing all of my assignments. I have to use Max MSP. It's a graphical programming format that you can use to make modular like patches. You can create sounds, you can create user interfaces. This all sounds so complicated, and it kind of is, but it's like not as crazy as it sounds. But I have to create like a simple program basically tomorrow. I have to do that tomorrow. And I do know how to do it, but I have to think about like what I'm going to do. So like my ass is going to get up in the morning and go to work and get there by 8 in the morning. And I'm going to be there all day. And while I'm there, I'm going to be thinking about what I'm going to program in the evening time when I get back here. That's just a crazy life, you know? So it's been 4 years of grinding pretty hard like that. And I am really excited because I graduate in a month. I've just been counting it down, and I feel like I've really earned this degree in this Bachelor of Science in Sonic Arts and Music Production because I have learned so much about the physical realities of sound, about acoustics and recording techniques and technology. I've learned so much about composition and music theory. I've learned quite a bit about performance, even though it was so hard for me. It was like swallowing an iron fucking spiky pill, but like I did ultimately learn about performing and putting myself out there and getting in front of people. And I've just had an invaluable experience in school, but I'm ready to get the fuck out. I've learned so much, but I think that too much of anything, honestly, is not good for us. And I've started to get comfortable in school where like I know how to succeed, and that's great. That's exactly what I was supposed to learn. But that also means that it's time to move on, because now that I'm not challenged as much by academic environments or by sitting in a classroom or music theory or etc. Now I need to find the things that do challenge me, and that's going to be actually applying these skills and getting out into the real world and saying, oh, I know that I can make this installation, I can score this movie, I can do that. So I'm really looking forward to that, but at the same time, it's frightening. It's that classic story of you study all this time to have these qualifications or to earn a degree, and then when you actually get there to the cusp of doing the thing, it's like, oh my god, I have to I have to apply this knowledge, I have to remember these things and use them, and it just becomes scary to wear that, you know? So be it. There's just so many exciting things on the horizon. I've also been saving my coins. I've been saving my money and my tips from work, and I'm going to be buying a car this summer, which is really exciting because if you know me in my personal life, you know that I had a car, up until a year and a half ago or something like that. And I got in a car accident. And I did get a settlement for that because somebody just hit my car and totaled it. And so I got a couple grand and I purchased another car, and I'm gay and stupid apparently because I buy this car that broke down like immediately after I bought it. I had it for a week or something like that. And then the engine seized or something on the middle of St. John's Bridge? One of the bridges, and which was super awkward because there's like a ton of people driving by. And I had to just scrap that car, and I didn't really have the money to purchase another one outright. And so my only option was just to become a public transit girly. And I've been doing that for a while now. So the prospect of buying another car is really exciting too, because as well as having the extra time after I've graduated, I'm going to have the ability to leave town and to go visit. Boise is where I went to high school, and I have some family there and a lot of friends there that I would love to go see. I would love to be able to go to the coast and to go zip around and go play shows and go see other people's shows. So that will be a huge difference, and I'm really excited about that. So we are going to have a car, we're going to have lots of time, and we're going to have a very fierce time after I graduate in June. So, fierce. I'm almost ready to move on to our advice segment, but one more detail about recently in my life. I have been so fierce about getting ready at work. I have brought like my whole fucking half of my life to my job, which is funny because I've never been that person. I feel like I've always just sort of roughed it at all times in life. Like I've never been the person who's like very well prepared at school, like brings like a lunch that's like very comprehensively packed with like utensils and like stuff to keep stuff cold, or carrying around a big water bottle. Like I've just historically not been that bitch, partially because of a neglectful upbringing, low-key, partially because of my own stubbornness and like my sort of almost Taurian energy where like I'm not a Taurus sun or anything, but all of my placements are in the second house, like a lot of them. Sorry, that's a really random thing to say. But I feel like I have this very stubborn energy sometimes where like if I think I can make something work without making any changes, I will try so hard because I just have this frustrating lack of like wanting to change things. And sometimes that really gets in my way. So I'm learning as my prefrontal cortex grows to its final adult size that it actually is helpful and lovely to plan ahead and to bring a toothbrush. And bitch, I have a tongue scraper at work. I have dental floss. I have nail glue. I have a hair, like a comb. I have gum. I have snacks. I have all of these things that are like ready for me because I know that I can create a positive experience for myself if I think ahead and prepare. And I'm diligent about my own needs and stuff. So isn't that fierce? I can show up to work feeling like a nasty mess because I've like taken a lift there and I'm hungover and I only had 10 minutes to get ready. And I know that I can brush my teeth, get all fresh, put on some deodorant, put my hair in a ponytail, and then I'll usually bring my makeup bag, and on my first 10-minute break, I'll put on just like a minimal amount of makeup like this, which I did do at work actually. Now I'm all shiny because it's been an entire day, but I figured I would be real. I'd get on here and give you realness and not redo my makeup. Last week I was all frustrated trying to like put on a bunch of makeup and make it look all perfect, and girl, I'm just here kikiing with you, friends. Just our little crew here, our little Queer Abbey. It's okay. I don't need to look like a supermodel at all times. So, there's that. Now, let's move on to a little bit of advice. Alright, y'all. Now for the advice section of the 50th episode of Queer Abbey, which also happens to align with Mother's Day. So to any mothers listening to this episode, happy Mother's Day. Even to my own mother, who I have a conflictual relationship with, happy Mother's Day. The first prompt this week is from an anonymous caller who asked, Queer Abbey, I can't stop overeating. For roughly the last 2-3 months, my appetite has massively increased. I'm so hungry all the damn time. I have a physically demanding job, but hunger has never been a problem before. Nothing has changed in regards to medication, and I'm not pregnant or anything like that. I just want to stop this. I feel satisfied when I've had food, but I feel so bloated and horrible afterwards. What can I do to help myself? Well, anonymous caller, I have a very stern and explicit answer to this one, and it's that the change you need to make is psychological, darling, because clearly your body is telling you what it needs. Hunger is a natural impulse from our brain that, like you said, there's no changes like physiologically that you can identify majorly. So if you're hungry, it's because you need nutrients. And the last couple of sentences contained so much judgment about yourself, saying, I feel satisfied when I've had food. Okay, you could just stop that sentence there, right? But I feel so bloated and horrible afterwards. What can I do? Okay, feeling horrible, that's not good. If you feel horrible, you shouldn't eat that way. But like, I have a feeling that those things are more psychological than they are physiological. You're thinking that you're huge and bloated and big and you feel horrible about yourself. That's just not necessary, you know? I get it. I mean, honestly, I think that HRT and leaning into feeling like a woman and having this identity as a woman has made me a lot more conscious of my body and feeling kind of fat, because I guess before I felt sort of invisible in certain ways and almost like it didn't really matter if I had a super like fit body. But now like trying to almost fit myself into some type of social mold, I feel that pressure a little bit more to look a certain way or to have a body that looks a certain way because there's sort of an idea of what I should be. And that's not been the case for me always in life. I've always sort of floated and not known like what was best for me and what I wanted to do. And So to give yourself parameters and to have an idea of what you want your body to look like, it sort of creates that tension with your psyche. And it's not a war that you can win, unfortunately. Like, you need to eat food. There's no not eating. I mean, you can just wither away and die. That is an option, but it's not a good option. And so you have to make peace with needing food and needing to eat. So certainly you should try to eat nutritious foods. I mean, that's very important. That's actually probably one of the most spiritually grounding things we can do, is to connect with our food and to eat really good food, and to like know what you're putting in your body, to appreciate it, to be grateful for it, to cultivate it yourself, to give back to the earth. All of these things are so important, but feeling like food is bad and it's your enemy is not helping anybody. I mean, it's not helping you. You're going to have to eat tomorrow, and you're just making yourself feel like shit about it. So anyway, if you find yourself eating a ton and you just can't stop, I will give you some practical advice that you should find things that are filling. You should drink water before you start eating. Those are both things that you can do to help satiate your appetite without making your body feel super bad. Because what I do understand is, like, sometimes I eat too much ice cream, or I'll eat, like, I don't know, Popeyes always makes my tummy really upset. But specifically, sometimes I get super high and I sit in my bed and I eat like an entire, pint of ice cream. And then my tummy gets upset, mama. And so, like, that's not good. That's a destructive type of eating that I'm so willing to acknowledge. Like, we all do that sometimes. We eat a little too much and it's like, oh, mama, I shouldn't have done that. And if you're doing that, it's probably because you need to feel good. You need some sort of stimulation. You need comfort. And we can evaluate those things instead of pushing them away and judging them and just being like, oh, I'm so gross. Like, I feel like shit. It's like, baby, why did you feel the need to do that? We can really ask ourselves these questions and give honest answers to ourselves. So it's that, Mom. You need to ask yourself, why am I so hungry? Do I need nutrients? Am I growing? Am I changing? Do I need comfort? You know, what is it? And how can I give that to myself in a way that's constructive? All right. That was fierce. That sounded kind of smart at the end there. So we're just going to call that good. Moving on to the next prompt. The second question, which was from another anonymous caller who asked, Queer Abbey, how do I reject someone politely? Help. Is that even possible? I don't want to hurt them, but I don't want to be fake and waste their time either. Please help. Well, I'm sorry, I just hit the cord. Well, this is all about perspective, dear listener, because while you absolutely can let somebody down politely, like, you can tell them, okay, I don't think that we should be together, and it's not like an insult, it's just that I don't think that our paths align, and you can be extremely nice and understanding about it, and that person's feelings may still be hurt because it's just a hard thing to end a relationship, because you're dealing with all of these expectations about the future, you're dealing with what somebody thinks of themselves in relation to you, and it's a lot because it calls people's identity into question and their self-worth. So breaking up with people is never easy, but you are absolutely doing the right thing by telling them how you feel, because there's no point in pursuing a relationship that you don't see value in. If you don't think that you want to be with somebody, then you just shouldn't be with them, because what you said is true. You would be wasting their time, and it ultimately would just hurt them more to stay with them and then to, like, experience this decline over a longer period of time. It's never pretty. I mean, I've had some terrible experiences with a relationship that just went too long, basically, because this person, I don't know, felt bad for me or something, because I don't know why. And that's shameful. It's embarrassing to not be honest with people and to not have that kind of bravery. So good for you for confronting the feelings that you have that aren't super easy, because that's what's going to be good in the long run. And that's an important thing to do in relationships in general. So break up with them. They're allowed to be disappointed, and you are allowed to not want to be with them. So that's your tea. I liked that question because I had a very succinct answer for that. Some of these are very philosophically taxing. I'm like, oh my, what do you want me to say? Stop eating? Girl. No. I really don't feel afraid of giving my opinions, even if they're just that. It's just an opinion, you know? I can't make choices for anybody else in life except for myself. So I make the choice to come on here and say silly stuff. And thank you for listening. So with that, that will wrap up the advice segment for the 50th episode of Queer Abbey. If you are interested in being on Queer Abbey, if you'd like to be interviewed, if you would like to have your music featured, please reach out to us. You can reach us with our phone number. That's 503-567-2053, or our email, which is queerabbey@gmail.com. That's queerabbey@gmail.com. We also, for the advice submissions, have an anonymous inbox that is linked in the description of each episode. So you can go down there and just easily access a Google form that sends me a message to my email and to the Google Forms like interface, where I can read it, and it's completely anonymous. So feel free to put your questions, your quandaries, conundrums, and queries, all of them alike, into this anonymous inbox. So I will see you next week for some more advice on Queer Abbey. Now let's get into our musical spotlight. All right, y'all. Welcome to the final and the best segment of Queer Abbey, which is the musical spotlight. So I already gave sort of a preface if you've been listening. I am going to be featuring a song from Reb and the Good News this week, which is a fantastic band who I was introduced to a couple months ago at a show. It was at the Showdown, and they were opening for Mr. Vale's math class. Yeah, Reb and the Good News absolutely brought the house down. They had these really cute free stickers that were available. It was like a glittery text sticker. It said Reb and the Good News. And it's just a very like professional, funky, fierce band, and had a great experience seeing them live. So I have been a fan ever since, and just probably 2 months ago they dropped a new single called Feel That. Reb creates these really sort of like deceptively complex songs. It almost has a pop feel to it where there's some repetition, but the rhythm of everything is really addictive. There's sort of like a little bit of like an Afro-Cuban like quality to things where it's a little syncopated. It's very fierce. There's always like brass, there's horns on a lot of their songs, and so many elements that make you want to dance and that just make you feel really awesome. Like, you know, that kind of vibe where a song is just contains good energy, like Stevie Wonder, a lot of disco, a lot of like super fun jazz, a lot of bossa nova. It has that feeling that just makes you totally want to get up and like have a good little time. And Reb is really good at evoking that sort of energy. So let's get into the song Feel That by Reb and the Good News.
I've been numbing, trying to find a door out of this cage. Clicking and scrolling, I know there's gotta be a better way. If I would sit down, find a corner just to think out loud. 'Cause if I don't now, sooner or later it will track me down. You gotta feel that heartbeat in you. Go feel that what you need, you already know. Feel that from emotion, let it flow. Feel that, gotta feel that, feel that.
Alrighty, y'all. That was Feel That by Reb and the Good News. Feel that, gotta feel that. It is all about getting in tune with emotions that are not very easy. And I really, really enjoy the message of that tune. I think that it's very insightful to make commentary on that and about where we're at right now, where everybody sort of has their head in their phone, and we're all pretty addicted to social media because we're seeking connection and we're seeking to be seen. I mean, we really just want to connect with people. That's a basic need that all humans have. And oftentimes we do that in this sort of silly way where we retreat and we try to sort of like get people to come to us, and it's difficult to really outwardly confront your emotions and to feel difficult things. It's much easier to just numb them and to stay home and to sit in your bed and eat that pint of ice cream and scroll on TikTok, because I know that feeling. I do it all the time. And I really appreciate that Reb was able to put that into a song and to capture that inspiration that we all sort of need. So I love it very much. I am very fond of Feel That. Please look out for more music from Reb and the Good News. You can follow them on Instagram, or of course, I will have this song linked in the description of this episode, where you can go check out their other discography. You can also see them around the Pacific Northwest. I know that they play around Portland frequently, so go ahead and keep up with them. That is going to bring us to the end of this episode of Queer Abbey. I really appreciate you for listening. I appreciate all of the lovely artists who let me feature their music. Thank you so much, Reb and the Good News, for letting me share your work with other people. And I just look forward to seeing you next week then on Queer Abbey. We're almost to 1 year, you guys. Can you believe that I've been doing this for a year? Crazy girl. What am I doing? Okay. See you next week.